We are following breaking news right now. A one-year-old baby girl shot in Southeast D.C. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for D.C. News Now at 9. I'm Susan Tran.
And I'm Mark Hall. Chris Flanagan has the night off. D.C. News Now's Max Marcella is live near the scene of the shooting.
And Max, do we know how this all happened?
Well, Mark and Susan, those are things we are still trying to learn because this, again, just happened a few hours ago. I want to show you where we are. We're here on the corner of 8th and Yuma Street here in Southeast D.C., and this neighborhood is just shocked by what has happened. You mentioned the one-year-old baby girl was shot and is hurt. The good news in this otherwise tragic story is that the girl is conscious. She is breathing. These injuries are not expected to take her life, but still there is a one-year-old girl who was shot. Again, we don't exactly know how. We don't know what led up to it, and we also don't know by whom, but police do have some sort of lead on this case. We want to show you now a picture of a Jeep. Now, this car police are looking for. They say it is involved. They did not elaborate much more as to what its involvement is, but this is a car they are looking for. They put out these pictures. Again, this is a Jeep, and they have a lookout for that car. But as I mentioned, this neighborhood, finding out that a one-year-old girl was shot and injured right here, it really just pulls on the heartstrings and speaks to how big of a tragedy this has been.
It's hurting me too bad. A child, a baby. I don't know. I just don't know what to say and how to say it. I really don't. I had to come out here and I had to see that.
Now, we mentioned the one-year-old girl who was shot. Well, she is expected to survive, conscious and breathing with her injuries. Look, this is not the first time we have seen a young child shot in the district. It was just a few weeks ago over the 4th of July weekend that a 3-year-old was shot, also in Southeast, not quite close to here, but another instance of a child being shot. In that case, the child died a few days later. So this is a neighborhood, this is a city that is unfortunately becoming used to these tragedies. Police are making sure not to, become used to them, trying to figure out who is responsible. That's why we showed you those pictures, and they're asking for anyone with information to come forward. Reporting live in Southeast, Max Marcella, DC News Now.
All right, Max, thank you. A guilty verdict in Northern Virginia. A propane service manager convicted of involuntary manslaughter in last year's Loudoun County home explosion.
The jury verdict here saying that Roger Bentley's actions led to that explosion that killed a volunteer Sterling firefighter. Now, before heading over to breaking news, our Max Marcella spoke with firefighters about this conviction.
It's been nearly a year and a half since this home on Silver Ridge Drive shook a neighborhood and shattered a community. Sterling volunteer firefighter Trevor Brown was killed and several other firefighters were injured. Some are still recovering.
There's a widow without a husband and children without a father. So that grief, I'm sure, will always be there.
On Monday, a guilty verdict in the lone criminal case to come from the incident. Former Southern States service manager Roger Bentley found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and 3 misdemeanors.
The verdict doesn't bring Trevor home or doesn't bring Trevor Brown back, but it is a step towards accountability.
According to the Washington Post, the homeowner requested a refill of her 500-gallon underground propane tank, but a technician smelled an odor that indicated a leak and stopped filling it. That tech then called Bentley, the service manager. Prosecutors say he told the homeowner the smell wasn't a big deal. The home exploded later that day. In closing arguments, the prosecution said he walked away without warning anyone, doing anything, and left a landmine. The defense argued Bentley didn't know there was a leak. Bentley is not behind bars. A judge is allowing him to remain free until his sentencing on November 6th. He could be sentenced to anywhere from probation to 10 years in prison.
And that was our Max Marcella reporting. Trevor Brown's widow and some of the other injured firefighters have also filed a civil suit against Southern States Cooperative. That was filed back in May. So far, no date has been set.
Several cars torched over the weekend in Maryland, and police are still searching for the people responsible. Investigators say that someone started a fire at a van and box truck. This is at the Glenmont Center parking lot in Silver Spring. And the flames, they spread, damaging the Country Boy Market. The owner saying that until police find the suspect, he's just going to be worried that trucks in the lot could be targeted next.
Don't know the reason behind it. I don't agree with setting anyone's property on fire or mess with anyone's property in general.
They are asking for anyone with information to please come forward. All right, let's talk about our weather. My goodness, I'm hoping for this low humidity to continue.
Can I talk about my day before I came to work?
Yeah,
I
what'd you
was
do?
running errands all over D.C. I was in places I didn't even know existed. But I did notice it wasn't as bad as it's been lately.
Yes.
As far as the humidity.
Exactly. And I mean, the humidity makes all the difference, especially this time of the year. So knowing, or at least noticing that it was different out there today, it's going to continue to drop, that humidity. So thankfully, it's going to feel a lot better tomorrow. If you're running errands like Mark was all day today, it's going to feel great if you're going to be doing that. Temperatures out there right now, slowly working its way through the 70s right now. But look at D.C. We're still holding to low 80s, but it's feeling much more comfortable when you talk about those dew points right now. Those dew points, those lower 60s in D.C. We're seeing those upper 50s farther off towards our northernmost areas. That'll continue to slide its way farther south, where we'll notice these numbers dropping. And with lower dew points, that's that much more comfortable air that's settling in. Now, we did have that cold front clear the area earlier, so that's allowing for that nice, much more comfortable air to settle in over the course of the next 24 hours. Overnight lows tonight falling back into those 60s for most of the area. That's a welcome change from those 70s that we've been dealing with, the last several weeks. Also with lower humidity too factored in with these slightly cooler temperatures. It's going to feel great into early tomorrow morning. So a comfortable start for that morning commute for your Tuesday. Will be mainly sun-filled a little bit after sunrise. Sunrise will be at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. It'll be nice out there by 8 a.m. Temperatures right around 70 and still feeling comfortable out there. Great for that morning stroll or for your morning bike ride as you're heading out tomorrow morning. Highs tomorrow will settle into those low to mid 80s out there for your Tuesday. And like I mentioned, comfortable air sticking around. So it's going to feel great out there for your Tuesday. I would say Tuesday is the pick of the week. Get outside and enjoy it. But more details on that heat, that humidity building back in. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Jackie, thank you. Today marks 2 weeks since the earlier youth curfew went into effect over the weekend. There was an extended juvenile curfew zone was in place along U Street corridor for several hours. Police say that they had no issues, but more than a dozen kids did violate the city curfew. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joins us live on U Street. Daniel, you're getting some mixed reactions from people about the extended curfew hours.
Well, Mark, some people told me today that they think that these extended curfew hours should stay in place, while others are not a fan of the curfew in general. You can see right here there are still the remnants of the sign from this weekend on the pole. DC police tell us that only one juvenile was arrested here in the U Street corridor this weekend. Large gatherings of kids on weekends has been a problem across the district. U Street is known to get particularly rowdy.
It's not really an area that I like to hang out in a lot late night, so I think the curfew is probably a good idea, at least for the short term now.
The U Street corridor is the latest neighborhood to have a 3-day juvenile curfew zone for those 17 and under on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 8 to 11 p.m. when the district-wide curfew kicks in until 6 a.m.
I think everything can be in a trial status. And if they're trying it to see if it helps or works, and if it is working, then why not?
DC police say no violations or arrests happened during the 3 hours of the extended curfew zone, but 17 curfew stops were made in the 3rd District during citywide curfew hours. Officers got most to leave on their own. 8 violations happened on Friday, with 1 juvenile arrested for public consumption of marijuana. There were 7 violations on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. Many are satisfied with the results.
If it's working, I'll say stick with it.
But not everyone is on board with the curfew.
Theoretically, I can't support something like that. It is so draconian. It is completely anti-democratic, right? There's got to be a better way.
We also reviewed video taken in Noma this weekend that shows dozens of kids running down the street appearing to run away from police. We don't know if that activity has anything to do with more targeted enforcement in other areas. We asked DC police where the next targeted zone could be, and they said that they can't provide that information just yet. We're live in Northwest. Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
All right, Daniel, thank you. 2 teenagers accused of 6 armed robberies in the district. Police have arrested a 14 and a 16-year-old. They say that the 2 boys would get out of a car, pull out a gun, and then rob the victims in Northeast. They all happened over a 3-day span in late April and early May. On May 1st, on that day, they stole from 4 different people. They're both charged with armed robbery.
New tonight in Maryland, a woman in Prince George's County has been arrested, accused of shooting and killing her husband. Investigators say it started as an argument Saturday, and Nicole Ward, they say, shot and killed Damon Ward inside of their home there on Old Chapel Road in Bowie. She is facing first-degree murder charges and is being held without bond. New tonight, a delivery driver in the district crashing into a tree and knocking it over. Take a look at this security video, and you can see the truck is coming down the street, and at one point the top of that box truck knocks and clips the tree. It was enough to topple the whole thing. This was on V Street in Northwest. It was a shocking sight for neighbors.
A shame. It was a really big tree. It was beautiful, and it had like covered half the street too when it fell down, and then they brought out the wood chipper almost immediately. There were fire trucks and police officers.
Firefighters say no one was hurt. The damage was only to the tree, as you can see again from this video. It just clips the corner of the truck and it sends it down. We did reach out to Amazon, and they are telling us they are looking into the incident.
So, Susan, and the district president Donald Trump threatening to interfere with the Commanders Stadium deal if the team doesn't change its name back to the Redskins. President writing on Truth Social Sunday, I may put a restriction on them that if they don't change the name back to the original Washington Redskins and get rid of the ridiculous moniker Washington Commanders, I won't make a deal for them to build a stadium in Washington. The deal still under consideration by D.C. Council is a $4 billion deal and includes a 65,000-seat covered stadium at the old RFK Stadium site. Mayor Bowser responded earlier today.
I think the thing that we should focus on in D.C. is doing our part. And I have worked for the better part of 10 years to get our part completed, including getting control of the land, coming to an agreement with the team.
Yeah, the team changed its name in 2022 because it was considered offensive to Native Americans. DC News Now reached out to the team but hasn't heard back. In February, team owner Josh Harris said that the name Commanders has grown real meaning among players and fans.
Now to the international tennis stage. It is right here in the district at the Mubadala City Open. Local star Haley Baptiste teaming up with superstar Venus Williams, winning their first doubles match in straight sets. Tomorrow, Venus is set to play in her very first pro singles match since the Miami Open back in March of 2024. On the men's side, we have Hyattsville, Maryland native Francis Tiafoe, who will be playing his first match of the tournament on Wednesday. DC News Now sports director Derek Forrest will have much more coming up at 10 on DCW 50.